How Hell Works, a brief guide to the afterlife. Sooner or later, time is up for everyone. It would be ridiculous to think that after such a life we will be able to somehow penetrate through the heavenly gates or deceive the archangel guarding them. It's worth accepting the inevitable. Not booths or houris are waiting for us, but the gloomy landscape of hell. And in order not to get confused at the grave board, you should prepare for this in advance. Moreover, you can find a whole bunch of authoritative evidence on how to navigate in hellish terrain. The main thing is not to panic. Where is the underworld? Some ancient people buried the deceased. This is a sure sign the soul must ascend to its new abode in heaven. If he was buried in the ground, then it'll go to the underworld. If sent on the last journey by boat, it sails the country across the sea, at the edge of the earth. The Slavs had a variety of opinions on this, but they all agreed on one thing. The souls of people who are not kept near their former dwellings enter the afterlife, and they lead about the same existence there. They harvest and they hunt and so on. Those who, due to a curse or an unfulfilled promise or something else, cannot leave their body to remain in the world, either settling into their former shells, then taking the form of animals, natural phenomena, or simply ghosts of failure, we can say that the afterlife of such souls is our own world, so this is not the worst option for the posthumous existence. The Egyptian hell. Everything will turn out much worse if you find yourself in the afterlife of the ancient Egyptians, where Osiris reigns. During his earthly incarnation, he was killed and dismembered by his own brother Set. This could not but affect the character of the Lord of the Dead. Osiris looks repulsive. He looks like a mummy clutching the signs of Pharaoh's power. Sitting on the throne, he presides over the court, which waited the actions of the newly arrived souls. The god of life, Horus, brings them there. Hold on tightly to his hand. The hawk-eyed Horus is the son of the underground king, so it may well put in a good word for you. The courtroom is huge. This is the entire firmament. According to the directions of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, a number of rules should be observed in it. List in detail the sins that you did not have time to commit during your lifetime. After that, you'll be offered to leave a memory of yourself and help your relatives by depicting a court scene on a papyrus scroll. The Greek hell. It's even easier to get into the afterlife kingdom of the Greeks. You'll be carried away by the god of death, Thanatos himself, who brings here all the fresh souls. During big battles, where he apparently cannot cope alone, Thanatos is helped by winged carers, who carry the fallen to the kingdom of the eternal gloomy Hades. In the far west, at the edge of the world, stretches a lifeless plain, in some places overgrown with willows and poplars with black bark. Behind it, at the bottom of the abyss, the muddy quagmire of Acheron opens. It merges with the black waters of the Styx, which encircles the world of the dead 9 times and separates it from the world of the living. Even the gods were wary of breaking the oaths given by the name of Styx. These waters are sacred and ruthless. They flow into the Cocytus, the river of weeping that gives rise to Lethe, the river of oblivion. And here you greet the huge three-headed dog Kerberos, safe for those entering, but ferocious and merciless for those who are trying to return to the sunny world. The Christian hell. The images of Christian hell are largely inspired by the ancient Greeks. It's among Christians that the geography of hell has been studied in most detail. Getting there is a little more difficult. Already in the apocryphal books, those that were not included in the Holy Scriptures or were exalted from it later, different opinions were expressed about the location of hell. Thus, the Book of Enoch places the devil himself in the eastern lifeless desert, where Raphael makes a hole into which he lowers him, bound hand and foot, and rolls him over with a stone. However, according to the same Apocrypha, the soul will go in the opposite direction to the west, where it will groan in the depressions of the high mountain range. At the end of the 6th century, Pope Gregory the Great distinguished between two hells, upper and lower, placing one on the ground and the second under it. In his 1714 book on the nature of hell, the English occultist Tobias Swindon placed hell in the sun. He motivated his assumption by the then existing ideas about our light as a ball of fire, and a quote from the Apocalypse: "The fourth angel poured out his bowl on the sun, and it was given to him to burn people with fire." And his contemporary and follower William Whiston declared all celestial comets to be hell. When they get into the hot regions of the sun, they fry souls, and when they move away, they freeze them. However, you should hardly hope to get on a comet. The most widely accepted idea is that hell is located in the center of the earth and has at least one exit to the surface. Most likely, this exit is located in the north, although there are other opinions. So an old poem about the wanderings of the Irish Saint Brendan tells about his journey to the far west, where he finds not only heavenly places, but also places of torment for sinners. And in heaven and under the earth and on the earth itself, hell is placed in the apocryphal Walk of the Mother of God Through Torment. This book is replete with detailed descriptions of punishments, asking God to disperse the complete darkness that envelops the suffering in the west. Mary sees a red-hot tar pour out on the unbelievers. Here in a cloud of fire, those who sleep like the dead at dawn on Sunday are tormented, and those who have not stood in church during their lifetime are sitting on red-hot benches. In the south, other sinners are immersed in the river of fire, those cursed by their parents up to the waist, fornicators up to the chest, up to the throat, those who ate human flesh, that is, traitors who abandoned children to be devoured by beasts or betrayed by their brothers before the king. But deepest of all, to the crown, are the perjurers. The Mother of God sees here other punishments due to lovers of profit, hanging by legs, sowers of enmity, and Christian adepts hanging by their ears, and in the left side of paradise, in the raging rivers of boiling tar, are those who were against Christians. John Milton, author of the poem Paradise Lost, is in the realm of eternal chaos. According to his concept, Satan was overthrown even before the creation of the earth and heaven, which means that hell is outside these areas. The devil himself sits in Pandemonium, the brilliant capital where he receives the most prominent demons. Pandemonium is a huge castle with halls and porticos built by the same architect as the palace of the heavenly king. The angel architect who joined the army of Satan was expelled from heaven with him. Myriads of spirits rushed along the corridors of the palace, swarming in the earth and air. There are so many of them that only satanic sorcery allows them to be accommodated. Even more confusing is the medieval Christian theologian Emanuel Swedenborg. He distinguished three different hells corresponding to the three levels of heaven. And since God has dominated over everything, all three hells are ruled by him through specially delegated angels. In his opinion, Satan does not exist at all as the ruler of the kingdom of evil. The devil, in Swedenborg's understanding, is a collective name for the most dangerous evil geniuses. Beelzebub unites spirits striving for dominion, even in heaven. Satan means not so evil spirits. All these spirits are terrible to look at, like corpses, are deprived of life. The faces of some are black, others with fiery, others are ugly with pimples, abscesses, and ulcers. Many of them don't see their faces, others have only teeth sticking out. Swedenborg formulated the idea that as heaven reflects one person, and hell in aggregate is only a reflection of one devil, and can be represented in this form. The devil's mouth leading to the fetid underworld, this is the path awaiting sinners. Do not overly trust the opinion of some authors who argue that the entrance to hell can be locked. Christ, in the Apocalypse says, I have the keys of hell and death. But Milton claims that the keys of Gehenna, apparently on behalf of Jesus, are kept by a terrible half-woman, half-snake. On the surface of the earth, the gate may look quite harmless, like a pit or a cave, or like a mouth of a volcano. According to Dante Alighieri, author of the Divine Comedy, written at the beginning of the 14th century, souls can go to hell by passing through a dense and gloomy forest. And the poem is the most authoritative source about the hellish device. The structure of the underworld is described in all its complexity. The hell of the Divine Comedy is a torso of Lucifer. Inside it has a funnel-shaped structure. Starting a journey through hell, Dante and his guide Virgil descend deeper and deeper without turning away, and in the end find themselves in the same place from which they entered it. The strangeness of this hellish geometry was noticed by the famous Russian mathematician, philosopher, and theologian Pavel Florensky. He proved very reasonable that Dante's hell is based on non-Euclidean geometry. Like the entire universe in the concepts of modern physics, hell in the poem has a finite volume, but has no boundaries, which was proved theoretically by the Swiss Veil. And this is on Soul Ask. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.